Hey, how's it going?
Hey man, pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Just hanging out around here.
So, did you have a replay in mind, or you want to go for some live coaching?
Um, I kind of like replay better just so I can like absorb everything more.
Yeah.
I didn't have a specific one in mind. I just wanted to kind of maybe spend like 5 minutes talking about my background just to see what you think I should be doing.
All right, sure.
Um,
Maybe it helps if I don't think I have you on Steam, right? On friend list.
I do not think so.
Yeah. Okay, if you can give me your Steam, I'll add you real quick so I can see your game history.
All right. Um, okay, this is a Steam profile.
All right. Just a second. It's declines requests because my phone is not full.
Do you want to try adding the?
All right, I added you now.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let me just open up your profile and yeah, just go ahead. Like, what are you looking to get out of the coaching, and what are your goals, basically?
So basically, I pretty much only, or I predominantly play safe lane carry, and I play a ton of Sven. I'm kind of looking to expand that one at a time. I'm trying to look at that next hero that's, conceptually similar to Sven, so I don't have to, completely relearn everything.
Yeah.
Um, but predominantly from coaching, I want decision making to be the focus because I feel like, I mean, give me your opinion, but I feel like I've had a few coaching sessions and I feel like people like to focus on items, and honestly, people in 7K they have completely different item choices on what to build and how to build it, and it's a little bit confusing for me, but I feel like if I'm able to understand how a 7 or 8K player thinks, I think that would kind of help me the most.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I mean, I agree with you here. Decision making is definitely. I mean, decision making is obviously a broad term, but in general, like, yeah, moving around the map, when to fight, when to farm, these kind of things are actually the most important and what's gonna help you win games. And yeah, I do tend to kind of. I definitely ignore small stuff like, I mean, but that's obvious. Like, let's say, oh, you missed a spell, or oh, you, I don't know, attacked the wrong guy, whatever. Like, those things are relevant. Also, laning stage, I kind of skip over unless you want to talk about. I just, the lane stage itself is not very, like, it's just about practice. There's not too much to talk about. Of course, we will look at like how the laning stage went. I mean, like how that's gonna impact the rest of the game, how you should
right.
move, etc. But I'm not gonna talk about like, oh, this is how you pull aggro and you should move here. Like, again, if you want to do that, that's fine. But personally, I don't think that's the most important. Not the best way to improve, at least. And yeah, as for item choices, for sure. I mean, I'm very well aware of the fact that you know, like, first of all, items. People have very strong opinions on item. It's not just items, but also skill builds and talent builds, all these things. People have strong
Right.
opinions. But the thing is, like, it just, the different builds allow you to do different things. And while there are definitely like some cases where something is like objectively bad, it's a lot more nuanced than people say, and like it's very rare that there's like, oh, this is always the right build. And for sure, what's good in like higher level games is not necessarily what's good in lower level games.
That's definitely something I've noticed.
Yeah, so yeah, no worries about that. Um, so you wanna like go over a Sven replay then, since that's the.
Yeah, I think that's and also just a quick question. In general, who would you think would be a good transition from Sven? Uh, I like farming, of course. I like
Mm.
um, I don't know. I just feel like Sven is so versatile. It feels kind of weird to transition. I've been trying Chaos Nine Bloodseeker.
Sven is
Oh,
versatile. Okay, it's funny you should say that. In my opinion, Sven is not versatile at all
oh really?
because unlike unlike the so I mean the way I see it, like there's three carries that stand out to me for like safe lane carries that have a stun, and are like tanky because of strength. So that's Sven, Chaos Knight, and Wraith King. You can agree that they're kind of similar. Like having a stun makes them similar.
Sure.
But a massive difference between those three is that both Chaos Knight and Wraith King are not very good at farming, and they want to fight early.
Right.
Whereas, and like they scale through, of course, they scale well with items, but they also scale massively through levels. Like their alt levels are amazing, like especially Wraith King. Whereas the Sven, he has a stun, and you could play him in the same way that you play Chaos Knight Wraith King, which is like fighting and stuff. But generally, no one really does that. And the main reason for that is don't have to go into like, oh, is that right or not? Should you farm or fight with Sven? Just assuming play the standard Sven, which is a farming Sven. You make use of the cleave, max the cleave early, farm stacks. You get a big RM advantage thanks to that. Farming that's basically
Right.
superior to most heroes, and then you fight with that item advantage, and you try to keep the snowball up and close the game out. That's the general Sven game plan. So with that being said, he is not flexible in the sense that if you are being pressured, you don't want to fight. You just want to, like, you need that period to farm up your core items.
Right.
At least with the most common way of playing Sven. So with that being said, yeah, I don't think he's very versatile. But if you're looking for a similar hero, again, like Sven is kind of the hero that functions best if he's top net worth on his team. Unlike, again, I'm gonna make the comparison with Wraith King and CK, especially Wraith King. You often see Wraith King paired with a mid like TA or Sniper or Shadow Fiend, because he's a frontliner. They sit back, they attack, they make good use of his aura. And in that case, you don't want Wraith King to be top net worth. You want that mid to be the top net worth.
Right.
But with Sven, it's not like that. With Sven, you want the Sven to be top net worth. You want him to have all the items, all the farm, all the ancient stacks, etc. And what you want from your mid is basically fill in the gaps. Someone that's gonna pressure the enemy team early. So Sven has a space to farm. A mid hero that doesn't actually take jungle camps, so that there's more jungle camps for Sven, stuff like that. So going from there, safe lane heroes that you could play similarly to the Sven. The first thing to look at is someone that has like comparable farming potential, able to take like jungle camps and stacks and ancient stacks, etc. really quickly. Gyro used to be kind of similar with Flag Cannon, but since the changes to the ancient camps, you can't farm stacks of ancients with Gyro reliably. Not early, not unless you have some specific supports that like enable that, like Avenge or something. It's really hard. So yeah, what hero actually farms the quickest? Sven, I guess Troll is someone that comes to mind as being somewhat comparable, because yeah, he doesn't farm that fast thanks to cleave, but he still farms really fast because of his damage, move speed. You buy Mom as well. The items are also comparable, like the Mom, the Blink, the BKB are items that both those heroes buy. And you also hit like similar timings, like you play around the Roche quite a bit. You're good at taking Roche, you're good at jumping in and blowing someone up during your BKB. That's kind of how you play those heroes. So
What about a Bloodseeker or something? Is that not too conceptually similar?
yeah, Bloodseeker is a very, I would say, very different hero. Because first of all, Bloodseeker is actually versatile. Because again, Bloodseeker can go for a million builds. You can buy Shadowblade, you can buy Sand Gesture, you can buy Blade Mill, you can go Yules, Ags, Radiance, Dagon. You can buy almost any item on Bloodseeker, honestly. Like Midas works, like yeah. You can go for right click, you can go for casting, and you can gank, you can farm. You can be that position 1, you can be that frontliner, you can be that backliner, you can also be like a buffer for your mid, like Blood Rage and stuff. So yeah, there's a ton of things you could do with Bloodseeker. Whereas with Sven, again, like there's really one main build that you go for and like everyone's going for. And the only real thing that you kind of deviate, or you could deviate, is like I mentioned, to try and play him more as like a early game-ish hero that isn't the top net worth. And I don't expect you to have great success with that. You could try though, but that basically means going something like Tread's Armlet into Blink and, you know, fighting early. But yeah, the issue with that is, of course, you're gonna fall off even harder than you would with a regular Sven.
Right.
And that's why no one really does that right now, because yeah. So yeah, I mean that's for the Sven. Yeah, I mean that's basically the main thing that defines the hero. I guess Luna maybe is somewhat comparable. Of course, the way you approach team fights, Luna is very, very different again, but at least the farming aspect, yeah, you have glaives, you farm jungle a lot, ancient. So yeah.
Okay.
So okay, with that being then clear, do you still want to look at a Sven replay, or what would you
Yeah,
like?
I mean, I still feel like we should like analyze my decision making and.
Yeah. I mean, if Sven is your most comfortable hero, then that would probably be best to look at.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share screen with you, and you can see what I'm seeing. Just a second. I'm also streaming this, by the way, so you'll be able to rewatch the vault later and
Okay.
check out if anything you missed. All right, so you should be able to see my screen if it works.
Yeah, I see it.
All right, so remember these games, which I mean, obviously the best replay to watch. I wouldn't look too much at whether you won or whether you lost. What we're looking at basically as even a game as possible, as close a game as possible, where, you know, like we don't want to look at a stomp for either team, because there's not much to learn from that.
Right. I'm trying to find.
I mean, this game looks 55 minutes. Maybe it's close. I don't know if you remember this game. Okay, it actually does not look very close. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Slark was just killing everyone.
All right. Perhaps this 38-minute game. Okay, it looks like you were the only one kind of doing well on your team, and everyone else feeding. Bit of a 1v5 situation, I guess, also not that great. I mean, I don't know the games though. It's, if you think any of these is good, just let me know.
I don't know. Maybe this one. I don't know actually.
It also,
or perhaps the one where the Slark was getting out of control would be better than these.
that's the fifth one. Let's see, maybe a little bit further. So I have to think about whether the replay is going to be available. 18, this should be still available. This one looks close-ish. 50 minutes. Do you remember this game?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Was it how? I mean,
we were doing well. I feel like it was like a consistent slight lead the whole time.
Wait, I mean, actually, I can just check out the graph. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Bit of a lead, bit of a throw, bit of a lead again. Okay, let's quickly look through the arrows. But if like this one looks best so far, the 48-minute one. It's 27. I mean, imagine this is a stomp. If it's that short, yeah. 46-minute one. Okay, also looks rather one-sided. 40-minute one. That looks kinda. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's just go with the 48-minute one. It seems
okay.
Most. So the replay works. Okay, so Yeah, before we get into the game, of course, I like to talk a little bit about the picks. So when you're playing this kind of hero that is supposed to be the top net worth, you're expected to carry the game. Especially then, it's obviously you want to pick later on and make sure you're not too countered, because obviously if you're countered, then it's gonna be hard to carry the game. And of course you wanted to also work with your team, and it's not just about like combos and team fights and stuff, but also stuff like farm priority, like I mentioned.
Right.
Sven soaks up a lot of farm, so for example, even though Sven Invoker is like pretty nice in terms of fighting, like Alacrity is great on Sven, you jump and you stun someone, there's a Sunstrike, like that's all great, but Sven is a slow hero that wants to farm jungle for the first 20 minutes, and Invoker is a slow hero that also wants to do that. So having both on the team is often not a great idea, because it's just very easy to punish. You have like two heroes that aren't really gonna fight in the early game. So yeah, in this case it looks fine. You have Necro and Aveno. These are heroes that don't really sit in the jungle that much. They are able to apply pressure on the map, and yeah, supports no roamer, but 2-lane supports alright. Like a secure lane at least to an extent. And for the enemy team, yeah, there's the Omni, I guess, is the only one that's kind of annoying, because Sven is not a hero that you want to buy Diffusal on. So the Guardian Angel kind of screws with you. And yeah, of course the Snowball, I mean the Tusk in general is a pretty solid like anti-melee hero. The Shards blocking you off, like BKB piercing, the Boros Punch BKB piercing, the Snowball, like, I mean you can't do anything about that if he just hides the guy you stun. And yeah, you're pretty good against Legion, because it's like almost never realistic for a Legion to duo you. Even with Blade Mail, like she's always gonna die first because you're just so tanky. And against Anti-Mage, that's a pretty interesting matchup. It's very much I wouldn't say either one is like countered or good against the other. It's just Anti-Mage is a split push hero that hits a certain timing. Sven also like has his timing, but he prefers the 5-man rather than split push when he gets his items. So yeah, I mean that's like it's not particularly good against the enemy team, basically, the Sven, but it works decently with your team. Anyway, what that means, so let's go into the replay.
Yeah, I typically do not consider counter picking very often, because I play Sven so much, and
yeah, I mean that's another thing to say, of course. Like counter picking is important to an extent, but if you are playing your comfort hero or your best hero, you'll play essentially like at a level that's like a bit higher than your MMR, so to speak. And if someone else counter picks but is playing a hero that they're not very comfortable with, they're essentially playing like below their level, because
that's true.
So okay, you didn't actually buy any items.
Oh yeah, I completely.
Okay, that's a bit odd. Anyway,
the worst part is that we lost a kill because of this.
So you run out here to protect the rune. No contest, you do get the rune. So you do get the first blood. Yeah.
I don't do this often, so
yeah, it's fine. I mean, not much to say about that. It's like whatever. So again, as I mentioned, I'm mostly gonna skip over the lane stage. I'll just kind of, especially for a safe lane, like there's really not that much to say. I'm just gonna put on player perspective, fast forward through it. Let's see if there's anything like very odd that stands out to mention. If not, yeah, just skip through it. Okay, so I mean, item choice, I can never talk about that though. Can you explain like why you went for the magic wand here?
I guess this kind of goes back to what I brought up earlier. I used to work with one of my friends who was 7K, and this was his recommendation for me with Sven.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I used to do the stout shield, one tango, one mango, one salve,
Yeah.
and I mean, honestly, I have no idea. I
Okay.
just I
Okay.
just do it. Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to, like, put you on the spot or anything like that. I'm just curious. So my goal here is not to tell you like, oh, against this hero you need to buy that item and this is the best build, blah blah blah. All I'm gonna like try to do is help you like get into the right mindset of how you should think about items, and
Sure.
so that you can make those decisions yourself and you don't have to like ask people and blindly follow builds without actually knowing why it's good or why it's bad. Um, so the way you wanna like, there's a lot to talk about items. We're not gonna focus on that, but just to sort of sum it up, the way you should think about items and skill builds in general, but mostly items, is what does this item allow me to do that I couldn't do otherwise? And if the answer is nothing, then it's probably a bad item. So in this case, it's not the best example with the magic wand, but it doesn't actually do anything. Like against the Legion, first of all, Legion is not a spell spammer. So yeah, it's like whatever. Second of all, your plan for the early game as a Sven is to farm woods. Magic wand does not help you farm woods, so it's not good for that either. So already like two reasons. Like magic wand is useful when it's getting charges and it's healing you, right? And it's gonna get charges if you're fighting a lot.
Right.
And Sven is not a hero that's gonna fight a lot in the early game. By the time you start fighting, you're not gonna have the slot for the magic wand, so you're gonna have to be selling it anyway. And yeah, the items you buy laying stages Sven should be items geared towards farming the woods, farming fast, sustaining your farm, and then working towards that core, so to speak, which is what enables you to eventually fight. And for Sven, it's very simple. There are a couple of variations you can do. Like Mask Madness is the most common because it works well with the hero. Like your Warcry covers the armor loss, great use of the attack speed, of course. Makes you it's like very cost efficient, helps you farm fast the woods, like
Right.
lifesteal sustain. Blink for the initiation, BKB so you don't get disabled, and some damage items. Some people like to go Echo Saber, some people like to skip it. Echo Saber gives you mana, obviously, that's one reason, and the double hit is great. You don't really make use of the slow aspect of Echo Saber, for example, because you have a stun anyway, and you're gonna hit the guy with a stun. So that's kind of a personal choice if you want to get the Echo Saber or not. Of course, if you have, like, let's say you can fight without the BKB, then you can go Blink Mom Echo Saber, you're pretty strong. But if there's absolutely no way you fight without a BKB, then doesn't make sense to delay that BKB. Yeah, and there's other stuff you can do, like for example, something that I like that I haven't really seen anyone else do is get a casual Oblivion Staff and actually not upgrade it to the Echo Saber, because then later I can turn it into eventual Orchid and Bloodborne. But I mean, that's situational. But anyway, so to get back
What
to
does the Oblivion Staff do on its own?
it gives you the mana regen aspect.
Just mana.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, of course, it gives you some damage and attack speed, but yeah. The point is, like, Echo Saber cannot be disassembled, and you often end up, like, Svens often end up selling it and then going for the Bloodthorn anyway. And in my opinion, you can make that Bloodthorn a lot quicker if you just keep the Oblivion Staff. You don't have to sell it, you don't lose gold by selling it, you don't have to rebuy it later and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's again not something you should really focus on too hard, but just adopt that mindset as a start. It's gonna help you like learn about items, and also don't be afraid to experiment sometimes. Like, if your goal is to eventually become better, and you buy an unusual item, like you might lose the game because of it, you might get flamed, whatever. But as long as you learn from it, you're gonna make a better item decision in the long run. Alright, so just So nothing crazy ever happening so far. Yeah, so big, like pretty standard thing on the with Sven is obviously move into the jungle as soon as possible when you have that sustain. Leave the lane to your support. In this case, both Xiao Shaman and Disruptor have a very strong level 6, like a great ult, so you want to give them the opportunity to get that level 6 by having the lane to themselves.
That's another thing I was wondering about. How do you know whether that's the right choice, or like what I do sometimes is I just push up the lane and then take the creeps and then basically keep the jungle and the lane for myself.
Yeah, I mean, so whether that's the right choice basically depends on if your support can really safely like actually farm that lane and get that XP like we're talking about. In this case, they can, like there's no huge threat, and both Xiao Shaman and Disruptor are ranged. Probably better for the Disruptor to do it, because you know if Legion tries to run at him, he can just glimpse him and run away.
Right.
Rast is a bit slower. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, but it's honestly also for you, like moving into the jungle, you will farm faster. It's like you also want to farm Ancients at some point, or stack Ancients for yourself too. Like in this, the way the game is played, like supports can't really afford to just, you know, run around stacking camps all the time. It's a lot about fighting and moving around the map, so
right.
It's all the more reason to stack for yourself, so you actually have these stacks. Of course, pressuring the tower is pretty great when you have the opening to do it. Let's go back a little bit here. So again, your main goal is to get farmed, and that's the end goal, but like your priorities, again, as a hero that needs to be top net worth, is very simple. A very big priority is that you should never die. Of course, with never, I mean at least in the early game, until you hit your timings. From that point on, if you take some fight, you know, you might die, it's like okay. But while you're farming, basically there's no reason to die. So with that being said, you want to minimize risks in situations in which you might die. So here you commit for the tower. You pop ult, you pop Warcry, you pop Mom, and you're hitting the tower. So let's look at what we actually see on the map here from your perspective. We see the Viper mid. He has a TP scroll. We see the anti-mage bottom. There's an ITP scroll, but it's an anti-mage. He's probably not going to rotate anyway. We don't see the Tusk. We don't see the Omni. We don't see the Legion. But there's a Disruptor next to you who, if someone TPs in, he can glimpse them. And he has an Observer, which assuming he's looking to place right now. Yeah, could have glimpsed the Legion here, because it's pretty obvious that he TP'd, but yeah. Anyway, it's a safe move. You're also pretty tanky at this point, and these heroes don't really have the greatest skill potential on you. Like again, any possibility of you dying involves the Viper TPing in, but you know, he can just get glimpsed if he does TP in. So you know, virtually no risk of you dying. Now this here is already getting kind of weird, because getting a tower is obviously great. It's like a lot of gold for the team, but not just that, it's like opens up the map, more space for your team, less space for the enemy team, and you know, even though you're a hero that's just looking to farm, creating space for yourself is never a bad thing, which you do by pushing towers, pushing lanes. So going for the tower is good. Now after you get the tower, you try to kill the Legion. Now this is already where I don't like it, and you're gonna notice like throughout the replay I'll try to say, before something actually happens, I'm gonna say whether it's a good or a bad move. And of course I don't know what's actually gonna happen. You know, like maybe you just get the kill and you don't die and everything looks fine. But you know, the reason for that is so you get, you know, you understand the thought process, and it's not just me saying like every time you die it's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't have died here, you could have known because this and this. Like that feels, it's not always the, yeah, it doesn't feel very genuine, because it's easy to say that after it happens. So I'm just gonna say in situations, like if I'm in a situation, what I would think and whether I would go for it or not and why. And whether that's actually what happened is already another story, but at least you'll know how to think about this situation, how to recognize them. Because again, number one priority is that you don't die. So what's the situation here is like your stun is on cooldown, Warcry is on cooldown, you're low mana, you're not full HP, your ult is about to run out. You're supposed to just level 4, so there's no ult on him. Someone that's Omni TPing in. You do see the Viper though, and the Tusk mid, so okay, they can't come. And yeah, there's an anti-mage, so it's unlikely that anti-mage comes. But still, this is risky, because what you're essentially doing here is you are putting yourself at risk of dying. Like for example, this Omni heal doesn't actually hit you. It's only level 2 Omni heal. Okay, so yeah, the damage doesn't connect. You still have a lot of HP, but you're basically very deep in enemy lines. You're low HP, low mana, and this whole like little chase here, like it didn't really do anything. Like the only thing you got out of it was forcing the Omni TP. Like that's good, because that's a lasting impact. Like okay, you make this move and Omni has no TP. So for that it's good. So if you tell me like, oh yeah, my idea was here, I wanted to force the Omni TP and then I was gonna back off, then I would be like, alright, that's a great idea. But if you're actually trying to go for the kill, then it's just it's not worth it, and it's like putting yourself at risk. There's no reason for it. So the moment you see this Omni TP,
if I had my Warcry and Mom up, would you say prior to anything happening that it would have been a better idea?
it'll be slightly better, because like at least yeah, if they come, you can have that movement speed boost, you can run away. But yeah, it's not even just about risk of dying. It's also like what you're losing, because like this whole like action here, if none of this happened, you would right now be farming this camp, this camp,
right,
and you'll be getting gold. And right now you're not getting gold. You're just running after people. And even if you do get the kill, by the way, kills don't really give that much gold. Like this Legion doesn't have a streak, especially when your team is ahead. It's even less gold. So if your purpose is like your goal is to get gold, kills are not the thing to go for, because yeah, creep camps and creeps will just give you more gold. So in the end you back off and like, alright, that's fine. Nothing bad happened, but still, it was not a. It was the play that doesn't really fit with what your goal was in this game. So right now you see a bunch of heroes mid. Your team took the mid tower. You want to push this lane a bit more. Everyone's showing, so it's pretty safe to go for this play. So now yeah, you have the decision to keep going or go back. Even though you see everyone mid, I agree with your decision to go back, because again, standing here, it's like behind the shrine, it's dangerous. You're not really gonna damage the tower that much. In fact, especially with how tower armor was changed, like every hero gives it +3 armor, so letting the creeps hit it without you being there, like you don't lose out that much on damage. The difference in how much damage the tower takes is not that big, like whether you are hitting it and giving it armor at the same time, or whether it's just creeps hitting it but no bonus armor. So this is good.
I actually never thought of that.
So this is good. You walk back into the jungle, farm some more camps. Here you decide to TP bottom. I'm gonna look at your player perspective again, see what you saw bottom. So you see the anti-mage top, and you're like, alright, I'm TPing bottom. So do you remember this moment? What were you thinking here when?
I guess there was two things. One, I just had this general play I like to go for. Once I killed my safe lane tower, I like to put pressure on bottom, and then once I saw him, I just thought, okay, well now it pretty much guarantees me a free tower, and I can kind of control his safe lane a little bit more later.
Yeah, okay, that's a good train of thought. Especially you see the Viper mid, you see like you have a pretty nice ward. You see the Omni running there, but you already have 2 supports backing up, so yeah, I can agree with this move. Even if anti-mage does try to trade and go for your top tower, obviously you push a lot quicker, so you'll get the tower much sooner. And because you already are ahead a little bit, you're gonna be able to, like, invading their jungle means that you're gonna like limit anti-mage space to farm, because even if he does actually end up getting this tower, which opens up your jungle in turn, like it's still gonna be hard for him to farm your jungle, because like you're ahead as a team, and you also have good catch heroes. So So good move. Again here, push the wave, you let the creeps hit the tower, and you farm jungle, that's great. You farm the safe camps. Like going for this camp, for example, would be very risky, close to the shrine, so you take the safe camps, and you move back into your own jungle. So far, so good. One thing I can mention is you're sitting at less than half mana, and I mean you're using your you're using ulti to push, using Mask of Madness, etc. Like, and you're consistently sitting at low mana. So, for example, right now, if a fight breaks out mid, you don't have mana for ulti and stun and moment Warcry, even if you got inchets, and that's an issue. And like you don't even mana for that. Let's stand for a second stun, you know, like after the moment wears off. And this is very easy to fix by just ferrying a couple of casual clarities. You should have seen. I mean, if you watch pro replays, you'll see like a lot of carry is doing that on a lot of heroes. Not just carries, but mids in general. Like casual clarities are a thing, you know, since they changed that neutrals don't cancel them. So when you ferry out the Yasha, you should just definitely bring some clarities. So here from the camps. And now, okay, yeah, fight breaks out mid. Run in there, you kill the Tusk. Alright, this is a small thing. Here we're gonna get into like fight specific stuff, mechanics, like who to target, like casting spells, blah blah. This is the kind of stuff I mentioned that's not that important. It's not the kind of stuff that's gonna win or lose you the game. But I'm still gonna go over it real quick. First, sure. The decision to join the fight. If you look at the situation, Tusk is stuck in Static Storm. Your Necro like veiled him, Venom's coming, there's a glimpse ready. So, well, what is your potential contribution to this fight, you being here?
Probably not much in terms of Tusk. I realized I wasted the stun. I mean, he probably was going to die, but if I hadn't known what happens, I would have thought if I had saved the stun and maybe gone after Viper, we could have gotten 2 kills. But here, I recognize I'm completely useless. Like, I just wasted an ability that was needed later.
Yeah.
And I'm low mana anyways.
So here, yeah, if you had the stun for Viper, maybe you get him, but, you know, actually Omni's behind him, so probably wouldn't get him even if you save the stun.
Yeah, even that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, you do here is like, okay, chase a little bit, pop the Guardian Angel, and then you go back. Here you don't have mana. Okay, now comes the clarity. And at this point, okay, you managed to kill them all, so now you're like, alright, let's push, guys. So you just pop ult. Meanwhile, Anti-Mage pushing bottom. You're sitting, by the way, 5 heroes around this tower, so notice how it has basically double armor.
Oh my god. So what is that something I should be telling my team not to do, or like?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. To be honest, like even at higher level games, like people don't really think about this enough. A lot of heroes, especially supports like Disruptor, or like supports that just don't do any damage, like they literally make her push slower by being there. The thing is, the radius of the bonus armor is actually massive. I'm not 100% sure exactly how much. I think it's over 1,000, that's for sure. So it's like maybe something like here. So it's really hard for like a support to be ready, like to help, you know, a potential fight, to be in position, and also not be in range to give bonus armor. So like you can't really blame them. Like you can't be like, oh, you should be out of range for that, because then they're just not gonna be able to do anything. But it's more like, you know, it's just something to think about when you're pushing, like how quickly the tower is gonna die. Like you need to realize that if you're solo pushing a tower, you know, with your ult, like let's say you kill it maybe in, I don't know, 15 seconds, you know, if it's your whole team there, it's gonna take like almost twice as long. That's basically the, if you're the only one hitting it, that is. Of course there's the rest of wards and, you know, other people right clicking, but that's basically the, just something to keep in mind, so you're aware of like how long things take. How
does the armor work? Is it if you immediately walk out of that range, it disappears?
Yeah, it's immediate. It doesn't really linger, and it's 3 per hero. So, yeah, and but that's where again the big thing I was talk to you about when the creeps. Like here, for example, when you kill the creeps and you let the creeps hit the tower, like that's great because the creeps are like dealing a lot of damage when there's no heroes around. So here you farm a stack, drop extremely low. This is time to finish it. So I just replay. Actually, I'm gonna go jump quite a bit back, just see this whole sequence of events. It all started with this Tusk kill, right? So you do actually end up getting the Viper, and we can maybe pause at this moment. If you look at the lane status here, top lane is kind of pushed in past the river, anti-mage pushing bottom. He's gonna get this tower. You don't have a TP, so you're not able to defend that. You got 2 kills, so you guys want to get a tier 2 mid, and yeah, you're gonna getting it. It's a bit risky, honestly. I wouldn't really want to force this too hard. You have the rest of wards. I guess that's a reason to force it. It ends up working, but it's not like it's not per se a bad move, but it's also not a great move because, like, yeah, you're getting a tier 2, but your anti-mage is getting a lot of space. He gets a tower in return. I mean, he kind of screws up by... Oh no, he does actually hit tier 2. Okay, so he's getting a lot of damage done on tier 2 as well. He eventually blinks out because he gets scared. Yeah, good heroes against him. So, yeah. Basically, you take the tier 2 mid, you lose the tier 1 bot, and some damage on tier 2. It's not bad. Like, not saying it's a mistake. Just yeah, again, it's good to think about what you're losing. It's not like, oh, we're getting a free tower, because you are giving up something for it.
Right.
Now here, this I would say definitely pretty bad though. So what's happening right now is you're sitting at very low HP. Your ult is on cooldown. Your mana is okay, but yeah, like being 1/4 HP, 1/3 HP, basically means you're not in any position to fight. And even though you're, like we're talking about Sven, like you want to farm, you don't really want to fight too much early on. Even though you kind of did, you do want to be ready for fights at least, or at least not like, I mean, this is a pretty extreme case because when you're this low HP, like anyone just casually walking through the woods like insta kills you. I mean, Tusk is you're most likely to do that, and he's dead, but still, like, yeah, you're not ready for anything, and going for the stack, like you're not only losing time in the process of going for the stack, but you're also not gonna be able to do anything after that because you're gonna have to heal. Like if you started hitting like the normal camps and maybe you ferry the solve, then you know you would heal up eventually and you could like start pushing top maybe or be ready for something. But right now, not only do you drop low, but you're also not gonna be ready to do anything after that. So essentially, like by going for this move, you take yourself out of the map for like at least a minute.
Yeah.
Like if they, of course they don't know that, and like yeah, they have an anti-mage. It's not very likely that they're gonna make some move, like. But imagine that in like a Roche lineup or like an Ursa. If they went for Roche right now, you can't really do much about it because you don't have the HP, and you're far from base. So a better move here is, I would say, like you also have, so you're finishing your Sanji Asha, and this is another like small detail. It's really important with like fast farming heroes where like your item timings are like really important and where you are on the map. Like here, like Sven, like like the team kind of revolves around you. Movements, like how you play, revolves around you. So where you're positioned on the map, when you're ready to fight, those things, they matter a lot. And small details like how you buy your items can have a massive effect. So what I told you right now, like yeah, you're farming the Ancients and you're out of the map for 1 minute because you're gonna be like, okay, you dropped to 10 HP, you finish the stack, you have to walk all the way back to base. Oh, I need to get my item as well, and I'm gonna regen. All right. So imagine what you could do instead is when you buy items, and you should get into this habit, is think about which of the components can be bought from either the secret shop or the side shop. So in the case of this Sange right now, the Belt of Strength and the Sange recipe, pretty much the same cost, right? 500, 450. Right. But the Belt of Strength you can buy from the side shop. So what I will do here is farm this camp instead, like I mentioned, so you don't lose HP, you actually gain some HP by lifestealing. Bring the Ogre Club, the Sange recipe, and the Salve. It's gonna arrive like you from this camp, from this camp, from this camp. it's gonna arrive around this time. By this time, you're gonna have enough gold to afford the belt of strength. So you farm this camp, you move to the lane, you buy the Sanjiasha from here, you use the Solve, and you're gonna be sitting here with your Sanjiasha, full HP, ready to fight. You can buy TP here as well, and ready to like either fight or maybe push this lane, TP somewhere else. You're gonna be doing something on the map basically. Whereas right now, yeah, you just it's like this is a move where you just
just end up wasting time.
So this started at like 15, so yeah, now it's 15:30. Walk the base, blah blah. It's about a minute, like I mentioned. So a minute later, you have your item and you use your TP to go somewhere. Okay. So, and again, this is also where the TP is very important. Like TP cooldown, I got nerfed a lot, many times. It's 80 seconds now, which is especially impactful on like carries, that rely a lot on this TP and movement. They don't want to buy early boots of travel like Sven. And this can be really abused. Again, like lower level games, it's not going to be abused as much. People are not going to pay that much attention to it, but it's still important to keep in mind because at least you can abuse it, like punish that mistake from enemies if you learn like how to do it properly and how to think about it. So like comparing these two scenarios, like 60 minutes, you're sitting here with your Sanjiasha, ready to fight full HP, full mana. But the big difference is you just use your TP. So that means if you use your TP, like it's good. First of all, it's good that you TP it in fog. Like that's at least one plus point because at least the enemies don't know. If you TP in vision, that's like even worse because then they know that you're stuck on that place in the map with no TP. You're not a mobile hero, so yeah. But the alternative that I mentioned, like farming like this, going to the lane, getting the Solve, finishing an item here, is that you would be also on the map, ready to fight, but you would have the TP ready. So what that means is, like right now, if you run down this lane, push it to here or something, and the enemies come to defend, your TP is still going to be on cooldown, and you have to walk away. But if you did this move top, again, I'm not saying you could have just do it, or like you don't see anyone, of course, but imagine you saw them, etc. Maybe your teammates were behind you. If you do this move top, and they all run here to defend, or they TP to defend, then you have your TP ready. Then you TP bottom, push that lane, and they are not ready because you forced them first, and that's how you should think about the TPs. Like saving the cooldown is really important because just it can allow you to get objectives like uncontested just because you were on like better position. Like you force them, then you TP somewhere else, and their TPs are on cooldown. So anyway, here you kind of just farm the jungle, invade the jungle. You let your disruptor push the lane, which it's kind of slow, but okay, you get the next creep waves, so that's fine. And alright, now the enemies are pushing tier 1 mid, and the fight's breaking out, and you don't have a TP, so you can't get there. So here's like already an example of what happens. They do actually trade Rasta for Viper, you defend the tower, so it's okay. So here you commit your ult, you want to get this tower. FMH cancels his TP. Tusk kind of goes in. Omni Knight forgets to use his ult, so you get a kill on him. And yeah, you still get the tower. But Legion was pushing top, gets TP cancelled. Alright. So, again, it ends up working out. Nothing bad happened, but that doesn't mean that it was the best play you could have made. And again, like sitting here without a TP is just, yeah, it's a waste because you're not able to punish anything or move around the map quick. Right now I take illusions. Find the Tusk. Alright, here's another big thing, like this is a very actually good example of like recognizing what's impactful in the game. When you have illusions, like the best use by far is to push lanes with them because it's a very risk-free way to push a lane, especially when you're a carry hero. Of course, when you're support, they don't do any damage, so you can't. But because what are you doing? Like sending them to this camp, okay, the illusion rune gave you some gold. So essentially you turn that illusion rune into a bounty rune and that's it. But imagine you sent them bottom. Like there's gonna be some action happening mid, maybe some action happening top, the Necro's pushing top. There's no one bottom right now. And if these illusions push in, it's gonna be either free damage on a tower, or you force someone there and that's gonna mean like, okay, someone has to defend bottom from them. It's gonna give you an advantage on this mid fight or this top fight or whatever. But
so you would send illusions that far?
Sometimes? Yeah, that's the great part about the illusion rune is that they last so long that you can send them to the other side of the map if you want, and they're gonna push that lane for a very long time until like someone comes to kill them. And again, like that's the goal. They're gonna force someone to rotate there. So anyway, you get the damage pick off. Fight breaks out here. Let's go back a little bit again. So you guys pick off the anti-mage, you commit your ult for that. Of course that's worth it. You know, anti-mage is their hero that's gonna carry them. So obviously don't want to save spells if you're killing him. But now what's the status? Alright, anti-mage is dead. Your ult is on cooldown and you guys wanna get this tower, I guess. You have Wrath Wards coming off cooldown. Mid is pushed pretty deep. Bottom is it is deep so far, but it is actually in the process of pushing out. Like they've a very big wave here, so it's gonna keep pushing out until someone of you comes to deal with it. Your Veno is extremely far away, and yeah, you don't see anyone of the enemy team. In fact, the fact that this creep wave is pushing and this ward gives you a lot of information. There's no one here,
right,
and there's no one bottom, so pretty much guaranteed that they're all sitting around this tower. Again, it's not necessarily the case. We can turn off fog to check, but yeah, it's likely, and yeah, they are all sitting by the tower. And this is like pretty easy to know just from the creep waves. And
do you mind if I just do a recap of the things you considered to see if I'm understanding the situation right?
Sure.
So if I'm going to push in the tower, I consider where my teammates are, what abilities we have and don't have, and then I also look at lanes.
Yeah.
To see if there's anyone pushing where they obviously should be. And then what else? Like, am I missing something there?
Yeah, so this is like the immediate status, and then you can think about more like the big picture here is like, what's my hero like supposed to do? What are the timings? You know, the matchups. So, for example, in this case, you have your mom and your Sanji Yasha. You don't have your Blink, which is your initiation tool. You don't have your BKB, which is like your main fighting item. Right. But you are like pretty farmed, high level, etc. So, all in all, like, are you strong enough to like brute force this, even though like conditions are maybe not perfect? Like for example, your ult is not ready, and you have 2.3k unspent gold. Yeah, by the way, that's not like small detail. Every time, you should make a habit of looking at unspent gold is basically gold advantage for any team. You see right now it says your team is 4k gold up, but 2.3 of that 4k gold is in your bank or in your stash essentially.
Right.
So this 4k lead is actually a 2k lead. And I mean your Necro has spent his money, Venom spent his money, so this is the only like significant goal that's unspent right now. Anyway, it's yeah, you're far ahead enough to force this. There is definitely a chance of you dying though. Here we get a little bit into like how much you trust your teammates. Like it's a solo queue game, I imagine. How much you trust that everyone's gonna do what they're supposed to. But the way this fight starts, first of all, is that the Veno is again like not even close. So AM is dead, but AM is a hero that's not gonna be team fighting anyway. So they are like at quote unquote full strength right now because the hero that's dead is not gonna be in the fight regardless. And you're actually not at full strength because you're missing your Veno and your ult is on cooldown. Yeah, with that being said, you have a bit of a lead. The Necro is pretty strong, so it's not necessarily a bad fight to take here. And there's a purpose to the fight. You want to get this tower, so it's not a useless fight either. So Omni gets control. He can't ult, but because you don't have your ult, you can't really burst the Viper. You do get the Tusk kill. Necro survives the Legion jump. He heals, you back up a little bit, everything ends up great. Kill them all. AM TP's here for some reason. Again, if you're the anti-mage, I'll be like, this is awful TP because you just waste your time. You should be pushing mid to maybe get the tower, you know, slow down the pace, create some space for yourself. Oh yeah, anyway, you guys win the fight and you get the tower. And this was okay. Again, notice how I mentioned the fact that there's a tower here. If there was no tower here, I would say this is super bad because you would win the fight but you wouldn't get anything out of it and you could just be farming instead. If you think about it gold wise, you got 370 from the kills and the rest of the money you got was from the tower basically. So again, the kills for gold, that's not like you don't go for kills to get gold. In this case, you went for the kill so you could get the tower. So it's important to realize like why you take a certain fight.
And that's specific to the fact that we're winning.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you're behind, you might start thinking about like pickoffs to just because of the comeback gold and stuff. Because then you actually, that's a way for you to get back into the game, but you would have to be quite far behind for that. And yeah, those situations are generally don't happen like this early into the game, because this early into the game there's still towers are up and towers are basically what you play around. Right, so here you get the Roche, you get the Aegis, and ult is gonna be ready soon. So let's just recap. Like, so do you remember what was going through your mind when you finished the Roche here? You got the Aegis.
Bottom lane's pushing. I had low mana, and yeah, those are probably the two main things I was focusing on right now.
Yeah. And okay, so yeah, you want to fix the lanes, of course. And you know, with fix the lanes, that means push them all in, and basically create a situation where you can start going high ground with that Aegis.
Yeah, and still at this point, I figured we need to get the lanes in, and we need to pick off, I guess, to go high ground. I guess.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, the thing is, like, the pick off helps, but it's not really something you should aim for, because pick off in a way kind of assumes that, you know, the enemy team screws up, someone's out of position. If you have all three lanes pushed in, then you're basically winning the game, because you can farm the whole map and they're stuck, and you can do whatever you want. You can like poke at the towers even, and yeah, you like, that's how you win the game. Anyway, you do actually find a pick off. Again, we can, like, if you look at the map, enemy is pushing top, has a pretty decent creep wave backing him. You jump the Viper here and you don't see anyone else on the map. They actually have 3 heroes that are pretty good at saving. Your Venom once again is very far from the rest. Shao coming in smoked. Necro also coming in smoked. You have Aegis, so this is okay. Even if like you expect them to be like, I imagine they were sitting behind them, that will make the most sense. But even then, you don't commit your ult, which is good, because you still have the Aegis, and you know, worst case, somehow they turn and blow you up. They can't really blow you up, you're too tanky, you're too far ahead. But yeah, it's a safe play because you have the Aegis, and by making this move, either you get the kill or you force the others to reveal themselves. So yeah, they do. Shao Shaman kind of screws up going in way too deep. Yeah, so this is a... Normally gets repelled, and you use Viper Strike on you. You have Haste Rune, but it's running out, that's why you're still chasing. Now the Haste Rune runs out, and you're pretty slow. You were actually very close to getting him, I guess, yeah, that heal came last second. But basically, the moment you see that Legion jump, that's a good moment to turn around. Because if you kill the Viper but your Shadow Shaman dies, like, that's not really
gonna... we lose wards, and yeah.
You're not gonna be able to go high ground, and it's also, and that's like general teamfight mentality. You're the hero that your team plays around, and if you run away from your team, they're generally all gonna die. Like, at least it puts them in a hard spot. So you want to make sure the fight's happening around you. If someone goes to your back line, you move back and you like hit that guy. You can't just ignore him. It again, you guys are pretty far ahead. It works out. Rasta doesn't die and you get the kill. So everything's fine. Anti-Mage keeps pushing top though, and yeah, at this point he takes the tier 2 and he's gonna be approaching tier 3 with a massive creep wave. At least the Veno, he wasn't wasting his time. He wasn't farming. At least he was pushing the lane. So now you're pushing in 2 lanes. That's pretty great. With 3 heroes, they can't defend 2 lanes at once.
What should we be doing regarding top lane?
But yeah, so here's the thing where, well, first of all, you don't really have many options because you don't have a TP scroll. If you think about realistically, like who can defend solo against the anti-mage, Shaman can't really. He can of course catch him. His skill is kind of weird. He can catch him and send him up for someone else to TP. Like TPing back would be, of course, killing the anti-mage is a bonus, but the main objective of TPing back would be to not take any damage on your tier 3. Again, you don't have a TP, so you don't have many options. But probably best move would be for the Veno to TP back and force him away. The rest of you can stay, and because Legion is dead, because you have Aegis, you're pretty strong, you can keep pushing even though the Veno leaves. But it is very important that Veno does that because, like, when you're ahead, you don't want to be trading tower damage, obviously, because there's no reason for it. Anyway, you guys decide to kind of brute force it. Again, this is not a huge mistake, but it's definitely like unnecessarily risky play. So what happens is Shaman TPs deep, so he wants to set him up. At this point, yeah, like you wanna finish the racks, you're focusing it, that's good. Veno's doing damage bottom. Good duel unfortunately, but so what's happening top is that Shaman's the only one to TP back. AM does actually get the tier 3. Bit of a random fight going, they're using buybacks. AM TP's back, he gets a kill on the Necro. Yeah, so what ended up happening is that you guys traded tier 3 melee racks and damage on bottom tier 3 for your tier 3. And you lost Aegis and anti-mage got a kill. So if I'm looking at this anti-mage, or if I'm playing anti-mage, I'll be really happy with actually what just happened. Because, like, first of all, that's his meta style right here. Aegis gone means there's not gonna be like a scary push coming again anytime soon. Tier 3 taken means shrines are exposed. With his meta, he can start working on those. And yeah, basically, if you look at the situation, like what your team had, like you had the Aegis, you had a 7k gold advantage. It should not result in a meh trade, you know, but
right.
It should just be a straight up win for you guys. But
so what was the initial problem there? Is it that we didn't take care of top lane before pushing?
Exactly, it was just impatience. And considering you guys have pretty great heroes at catching anti-mage, it should not be difficult to control the lanes and make sure that he can't just split them up.
How do you ensure? I mean, this is the thing that I always worry about when doing something like that. But how do you ensure that you can push 3 lanes without getting, you know, 1 or 2 heroes picked off?
Yeah, so again, it's not a question you can answer simply. Like, of course, it depends a lot on the heroes lineups.
Right.
We are running kind of long time, but this ties in nicely with what I would like to emphasize, like, as the main point here. I mean, I do it with everyone, by the way. Like, you know, if I had to say what the one thing that's most important, like, about Dota, like the one thing that Dota is about, the one thing you were like, it will be most worth your time to focus on to get better as a player and win more games. That would be actually pushing lanes, controlling the map. Because pushing lanes, first of all, this is a bit of a specific case, by the way. I'm not just saying it because of what happened here. In general, like, pushing lane is good because it gives you information, you know, like, either someone defends, then you see them, or no one defends, and then you know that they're doing something. So yeah, how do you do this? Well, when you're ahead, it's honestly quite easy. Of course, it requires a little bit of coordination with your team, but you know, this is not a game that's difficult to achieve. If you look at their heroes, it's very hard for them to get pickoffs. Like they have 3 very immobile heroes. Legion is the only like real jumping hero. He's not very farmed. You have a Venom and Necro who are like tanky and they can push safely. You yourself have like are almost impossible to kill unless it's like 1v5 and then it takes forever. So the right play would be here. To like, yeah, you jump to Viper with the idea of like revealing the others, but like they were actually kind of slow. But yeah, anyway, the moment the Omni comes, this is where you back off. Like, okay, Viper is low, you force them to react, whatever. This is where you hit the catapult, you finish it, and you run top to fix that lane. And you tell your team, alright guys, chill, I'm gonna push in top, just stay around mid. Because this Viper, like you don't kill him, but he's low HP. He's not gonna turn around and start chasing them. Like he's already like forced to go back to base, and that's good enough. Right. Like the difference between that and between killing him, it's not that big. Because again, of what your main objective is, and that is to push in all 3 lanes. So a bunch of stuff happens here, but you know this whole time, AM is just pushing top. So. And now, yeah, like this already, like this move I mentioned, this is where the Venom should TP back, but he doesn't. But even if he does, it's like, it's not great. The safest play is to go back after this tier 3 and also TP back top, because you get the tier 3, you force a Legion buyback, you save your tier 3, you save the Aegis, and that's overall a much better trade than what actually ends up happening. And not to mention all these things, but also AM doesn't get as much as he ends up getting, because he's sitting at, like, he's still pretty far from his Manta. But in the end, yeah, we saw what happened. You did get the melee, but AM got a lot. And again, if you think about how you can lose this game, that it's AM getting very farmed. That's the only way you can lose this game. And if AM does get very farmed, this one melee Rex mid is not gonna have a big impact. It's not gonna have a, yeah. It's not gonna.
That's true.
It's not gonna slow him down because it's an AM. He's not gonna have difficulties dealing with that. So here's a lot of like running around. And once again, you guys are 5 people in their jungle, and AM is already pushing here, so it's already like not a good spot. You are getting the shrine, which is cool, but now you definitely need to just like bottom and mid are pushed in enough. You need to deal with top. So you TP to the shrine to try and catch him, but you end up like being kind of late. This is not on the regions, it's unfortunate. You end up killing him anyway. Alright, finally you deal with AM, and now you can actually push out the lane. So again, your focus was kind of wrong here, because steeping to the shrine, like that's what you do when you're a catching hero. You're a Badwetter or a, I don't know, a Legion, you know. Your goal is to like, I want to catch this AM. But your goal as a Sven is you're thinking about how to end the game. Like you're the carry. You're thinking about how to win, and how to win is to push this lane in. So you just TP to the Rex and you just push the lane in with the creeps. AM can't touch you. You're stronger than him at this point. So it's I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, like you end up killing him of course, but you would have killed him even if you were here, the way things went. But yeah, the focus shouldn't necessarily be to kill him, it's just to get the lanes where you want him to be. So again, this move is, you want to catch the Viper, but you're not really the one who should be doing the catching. Fight starts. You don't have Aegis. Okay, pretty massive mistake here is the war cry. I mean, also going for a fight when your ult is on cooldown. Like this is where you should be telling your team, yo guys, my ult is on cooldown. I mean, that's actually why all the way from here, like this whole chasing thing doesn't make sense, because your ult is on cooldown. But especially like jumping in with Warcry on cooldown and using Mask of Madness leaves you so squishy. You're sitting at 9 armor. And it was only 3 seconds. 3 seconds you had to wait for the Warcry to get ready.
Yeah. I'm honestly so used to the old Warcry cooldown, it's like, it feels like I could always just be pressing E and then it's up.
Yeah. Yeah, once again, quite a throw, and it's just because of not waiting for spells. Again, you have 3k gold in the bank. That's 3k gold not spent. It's 3k gold advantage for the enemy team. And yeah, that is just very unnecessary. I mean, just straight up throw, not much else to say. And of course it was your team also chasing, but it's where it's like your responsibility as the most farmed hero to be like, to kind of dictate the pace, because if you say you wanna, like, you're strong enough to jump and you win this fight easily, then okay, they should follow you. But if you say, I don't have my ult, guys, get out, can't fight, then they're probably gonna listen. Anyway, they managed to catch the AM somehow, so guys again. You guys just run down mid. Yeah, the whole thing feels very like running after heroes and then kind of like killing them and then stumbling upon the buildings afterwards. It's just, yeah, there's not a lot of logic to it. Bottom, and you forced AM buyback, which is, you know, of course that's fine. But now top and bottom are pushed in. And you guys just stay in the woods. Ends up getting you a kill. But it's still kind of hard to push. Now the Shao Shaman TP stopped to deal with that, and so AM can't split. And AM was actually going top, that's the right move from him. And now you have creeps mid, but it's kind of spooky to walk into the Viper. You have over 4k gold now, not spent. It's also really
I think I was saving for buyback. Is that not worth it?
It's okay to save for buyback, but in that case, I mean, I wouldn't save for buyback in this game, honestly, because AM doesn't have buyback and you guys are on the aggressive. You're constantly forcing. If you lose the fight here, and the lanes are properly pushed, you will be up by the time they reach your base. That's also another reason to push lanes. But even if you were saving for buyback, then you wanna at least get your item before you fight. It's just, it really doesn't make sense. Like, you're 2k gold ahead of the AM, but 4.4 of that is not spent. So actually, the AM is 2k gold ahead of you, in essence. So as for item specifics, personally, I would always go for Blockdown over Daedalus. In a situation like this, when there's like a bunch of defensive heroes, because what the Bloodthorn lets you do is you jump the guy in front, and then you have the silence for Omni, for example, so he can't help him. Or of course, if it's a solo kill, then when you or Bloodthorn the guy that you're jumping, it's more damage. But it lets you do a lot more. Like, suddenly, you know, without Bloodthorn, you jump the guy and you hit him with stun. With Bloodthorn, you jump the guy and hit him stun, but you also silence the guy behind him. Like, if you're silencing supports don't have items to remove silence like this early into the game. So you're basically taking out another hero from the fight. And whereas with Daedalus, it's, yeah, again, nothing changes. You just jump a guy and hit him. You just hit him a bit harder.
In these types of games where you're clearly having an issue with split pushing, is it worth it to get an early travels?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Item choice also kind of reflected by that though, because it's all about like dealing split push and catching, right? Again, with the Bloodthorn, it's a bit easier to kill AM. He has a Linken's now, so at least you have a way to break Linken's and stun him. In this case, I mean, he's just doing some weird stuff and gets his Linken's broken. Yeah. So I mean, you can watch the rest of the game. I mean, you did win in the end, so I assume eventually like AM maybe die a buyback, or eventually you guys managed to get the lanes in order. But yeah, this all of this could be prevented, and the game could have been much easier if this initial move, this initial trade hadn't happened, because that's what propelled AM into actually being in the game, being relevant enough to threaten with the split push. So yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, again, we didn't really finish the replay entirely, but the last part is generally, the last parts of any game are generally not that relevant, especially when it's not a super close game. I mean, again, we could talk about specific moments like, yeah, like he was here, you should TP there, you should push now, not push now. But you get the general idea, like how we should look at it. And yeah, when you have the advantage, just don't be afraid to make your team play around you when you're playing this kind of hero. Also here I notice you, just go back real quick. So you bought the boots of travel here. Actually, Sanjay Yasha in backpack for a very long time. I mean, since your Aegis expired so quickly, like, generally, if you're buying travels, what I'm trying to say, you're buying travels and you don't immediately have another item on top of it, there's no reason to sell your treads that early.
I didn't think about that, yeah.
Anyway, here again, it's kind of some more or less random stuff. They just run into you and they die. Yeah. Alright, well.
Yeah, it's pretty much game over at this point.
I guess that's the game, yeah. But yeah, again, pushing lanes, definitely the most important thing in Dota. And yeah, so as for expanding heroes, yeah, I told you Sven is kind of somewhat unique in the way you play him. At least in this patch, there aren't really the other like flash farming ancient stack kind of heroes or safe laners, like mostly Jaro and Luna. They're not very popular right now.
Do you think Bloodseeker would be a strange transition for me?
No, I don't think it will be strange per se. It's definitely a hero that's way more versatile though, as I said, like a lot more builds you can go for. If you're gonna play like one hero every game, I think Bloodseeker is a lot better because again you can adapt your build and your playstyle to the enemy heroes a lot easier. Like there are a lot of like pretty good counters to Sven that you can't really play around. Whereas with Bloodseeker you can. So yeah, I think Bloodseeker is not a bad hero to learn. Just yeah, be open-minded and try different items. Think about why you're buying an item. Like what does that item let you do? And yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll probably work on those things, and then maybe next time we do a coaching session, we can see how well I improved and maybe apply that to Bloodseeker or maybe Sven. So.
All right, sure. Yeah. I mean, hope it was useful, and yeah, you can just message me here for next time. I stream the session, so I'm gonna link you the VOD later. I'll upload it to YouTube. You can watch it back later if you want. And
all right, man.
Yeah, I guess that's about it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good one. See you.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Alright guys, I mean this was kind of somewhat spontaneous. I was actually planning to be done after the previous one, but yeah. Anyway, now I'm really done for tonight. Thanks for watching again, and if I'll stream again next time, probably tomorrow. See you guys.